Hey you guys, this is just a random stuff I want to get off my chest. Interesting things I want to talk about, points I want to make. Nobody may even watch it, that's cool. Sometimes I just have to do that. Here lately, I've been putting a lot of different things up on this channel. I started it almost a year ago while I was going through the tail end of a very rough period in my life. It's very loud in here because I'm on the interstate. Sorry about that. But I started it, at a very rough time, and I thought to myself, you've been wanting to do this for a long time, so go ahead and get it up. Go ahead and get started on it, because there's never going to be an absolutely perfect time. You're going to be very immature when you start out. You're going to learn as you go. Your content will get progressively better and better depending on how much time you have to devote to it and focus on it. And I'm coming along. Even though it's been a year, yes, I would love to be able to take off work, not have to have another day job, not have to be under the regular responsibilities and pressures of everyday life, and be a full-time YouTuber or a person that can just devote all of my time and energy and research to my content and fixing up my channel. Oh, that would be lovely. But I can't do it right now. Right now I have to do both. I have to take care of my life and responsibilities. And just here recently in the last few months have I been getting a bit more time to really learn, to really start doing better editing, including things like photos, in my videos of the people I'm talking about or whatever, what have you, music, writing a lot more content. So I'm really happy about that. It's coming along, and I'm gonna just keep getting even better with it. I'm really excited. I've got notebooks full of ideas. And so I'm never without ideas. That's never been a problem for me. A lot of people are like, well, I'm going to start a YouTube channel, but I have a hard time coming up with ideas. What am I going to talk about? What will people, it just depends on where your brain is when you do the channel. Are you strictly just here for, I need to get instant recognition, or I need to instantly get monetized? If you're along those lines, then yes, it may be a little harder for you to come up with the content you want to do. But for me, I do this channel for a lot of different reasons. It's my baby. It's my project. It's my soul. It's something I can have in this life for me. And be creative and do whatever I want to do, say what I want to say. Anyway, there's several random things on my mind today. I really like to talk when I'm driving, especially a long drive. It gives me something to do. And ideas come to me all the time when I'm driving. I'm a DoorDash driver. I'm a courier delivery driver. I like the job because it gives me a lot of flexibility and freedom that I need. I worked 18 years in the restaurant business, back of the house, front of the house. I was a cook, banquet, worked under a chef for a long time. I learned a lot of things, did all kinds of different things as far as cooking go, prep cook. Also front of the house, a server, a host for many years, all about that business. It was something I could do. It was fast paced. I'm one of those people, I have a lot of energy, very high anxiety, and I need to burn off that kind of energy. So I really liked the restaurant business because it was high pressure, fast paced, and I could, expend that extra energy. It actually helped my anxiety. Some people, the restaurant business they can't handle it because it is a lot of pressure. But I'm one of those people that thrives under pressure because it gives me a place to expend that extra anxiety and extra energy that I have. Also, growing up in trauma and violence, yes, your system gets attuned to being able to thrive in an environment that, some other people might not be able to. But yeah, I did that for many, many years. I did other things as well, but that was my primary career field. I did go back to school in my 30s and got my associate's degree. That was important to me simply because I didn't get to finish school as a kid, and I was very proud to get that degree with a 4.0. I enjoyed school the whole time I was there. I have a video coming up on the channel at some point for you guys. It's going to be about the story of how I went back to school, how young I was when I left school and why, and then when I returned to school getting my degree, and the inspirational story surrounding that. Really, it was kind of a miracle. Someone came up to me, and it was something that they said to me that got me to take initiative, and I got in at just the right time, and I was able to get into school in a really neat program that closed up right after I got in. So I'm going to have a video coming out about that. I've got just so much I'm going to put up on the channel for you guys. Everything from, getting into talking about my own personal anxiety disorder and how I've struggled with that over the years, how I've also learned to cope with it effectively without being medicated. Also, as an offshoot of my generalized anxiety disorder, I have OCD, obsessive compulsive traits, not full-blown OCD. And this is on paper, traits. Had a therapist for off and on for going on 25 years. I met her when I was 14, so I know my diagnosis very well. I know myself very well. Having traits and tendencies of a disorder it's very different than having the full-blown disorder. Just like having narcissistic traits or tendencies, it's very different from having full-blown NPD, narcissistic personality disorder. So, but yeah, guys, I got lots coming up for the channel. Things that I think others may be able to benefit from my story. Others may be interested in my story, just to offer a little insight, a little perspective. And it, part of me, it just really gives me purpose. It fulfills me. It helps my soul. I enjoy making the videos. I enjoy, through the learning process, progressively learning through growing through my channel and building that up, even if it does take a while. I know that having a successful YouTube channel is not something that generally happens overnight for people. So, I'm trying to just slow down and enjoy the process of growing with it. For me, this is something very personal. It's very, soul rooted. It's a very deep project for me. So there will be things that are very personal to my life on this channel. Yes. How I grew up, what my childhood was like. And again, it's like, well, why would anybody care? Again, there are some things that I grew up with and went through in my life that I think other people might be able to benefit from, or might find some insight, some inspiration, motivation, perspective, if anything, awareness of things, And so, yeah, the childhood stuff, everything from, the alcoholic father, the trauma and abuse I grew up in, how young I was when certain things started happening in my life, raising my children. I have a lot to talk about, not only about anxiety disorders, but PMS. This won't necessarily be for the guys, but then again, it's not just for women either. I will be directing a lot of it at couples, because that is one of the number one things. Some women have really bad PMS or PMS disorders, and mine is an extremely bad case, and I will get all off into what I go through, what I've been through over the years. I've never taken medication for it. I'll get into why, and I'm going on 46 this year. I'm not going to start taking meds now because I don't have that many more years until I'm sure menopause will be coming and the whole period thing will be ending. But I am going to get up some videos about PMS and what my journey has been, how hard I have suffered with that, the things that happened to me, and how I've had to learn to cope effectively with it without medication. And mine gets bad. It gets bad. It's like having a mental illness. For about 8 to 10 days a month, I am not in my normal self. It is definitely like having a mental illness for about 8 to 10 days a month that literally takes over my brain state. And I've had to learn how to healthily and effectively cope with it. But I will get all off into sharing that because I think there are, and especially couples, I have trouble in my relationships because if you're not with a person that is fully educated on what PMS is and what it does to a woman and what can happen, and a very emotionally intelligent partner that actually gives a fuck enough to learn about it, then you're going to have a lot of trouble. You're going to feel very misunderstood during that time. It causes a lot of grief between couples. I put up a video on Facebook a couple years ago about it, and I literally had a man message me and say, "Thank you so much." He's like, "Oh my God, I now understand my wife of 13 years like never before. I never really got it." So, the way I see it, that's why I'm doing this. It gives me something in my life to do something fulfilling. I've always been big on personal expression. I used to write songs and sing. I've always had somewhat of a creative, artistic personality. Anything to do with creativity, I'm down. But that's just another reason. So I've got a lot more coming up on the channel. I'm going to be discussing, something for everyone. Women's issues, anxiety disorders, growing up in toxic, dysfunctional, and traumatic, abusive families. You name it, raising children, empty nest. My boys are in their 20s now. Things I've had to go through, going through empty nest. Just a lot of stuff. Okay. And then, shifting over, I also, if you'll notice, if any of you've noticed, I also like to talk about celebrities. And it's not because of what you would think. The reason why I make videos and talk about other people's lives, don't get me wrong here. There is that saying, you know how it goes, about great minds. Large minds talk about ideas. Basically, the gist of it is the intellect, the higher the intellect, the more there will be a creativity of wanting to create things and build things, and the more the intellect, the more the mind, the more self-realized, the more the mind will want to be focusing on things that are of a higher mind. Okay, whatever, if that sounds condescending and pretentious, what the hell ever, but I get it. I really do. Those other levels don't really interest me. I don't really care about gossip. I don't really care about getting too stuck in certain topics. I just don't. I do it for a certain reason. What I get out of discussing the lives of other people, I have always loved other people's life stories. And well, we don't necessarily get to hear about Susan down the block or Mr. So-and-so over here because, okay, the people that we hear about a lot are celebrities and, artists, musicians, writers, whatever. And so I've always enjoyed the life stories of others. Biographies are one of my favorite genres because of the simple fact that I learn so much from other people's lives. It's inspiring to me. I take away, when you delve into the life story of another human being, and what they felt on a certain day, and how they coped with a certain tragedy, or how they got to be where they are, or when you delve deeply into the psyche of another human being, especially someone, that seems untouchable and famous and all that crap, when you delve into, they open and become vulnerable, and you can connect with their soul in a way, and you learn about another person like that. It can be life-changing. I've always loved other people's life stories. I just love to take it in and understand and feel where they were coming from. And it also helps me learn about the things in my life in the past and whatever, what have you. So I will be having a lot of that on the channel too. If you haven't already noticed, I post, random things. There are, I'm not into it for celebrity gossip. That doesn't really interest me that much. There are certain celebrities and there are certain people that I have done a deep dive on that over the years I have felt a connection to, either their music or films or writing or something about their life. Yes, I will be posting on certain individuals that I feel some kind of connection to, something about them, and something about their life story was very moving to me or inspirational to me, or something about their life I could completely relate to. And I like to do comparisons. I like to talk about both because I learn from that. The whole time I'll be discussing it, my brain just expands. I realize things and I totally learn and grow from discussing those things. And I like to share that knowledge and awareness with others. So that's why I do it. For me, it's never about celebrity gossip or trying to get likes and subs. As I said earlier, it may take me years to build this channel up. That's whatever, what have you. Sure, I would love to be able to do this full time and be able to put more into it and be able to be monetized. Who doesn't? But, again, I'm not going to jump through hoops and put out something that I don't feel like is of substance or for me. And no, I'm not Miss High and Mighty or self-righteous or any of that kind of stuff. It's just I have a certain code. I have my code. I know what it is. I have my certain level of integrity and whatever, what have you, values that I follow that are about me. I'm also human. No, I'm not trying to kill my ego. I'm going to keep my ego. Thank you. But I do have a certain code about me, a certain integrity about me, that I'm real. I am an authentic fucking person. And sometimes that's not always pretty and pleasant. Yeah, I'm just like any other human being in this third density. I have to live here. I haven't ascended all the way yet. Now, I'm working on connecting in this third density, this physical form. Of course, I am working on aligning with my spiritual self, my higher self, as much as I possibly can while I'm here. But at the same time, I'm having a human experience. Yes, I'm a very spiritual person. I'm in a human form right now, and I'm going to do things that people do in human form. I'm going to think things in this third density that, hey, I'm human. Sometimes I get petty. Sometimes, I have a pissed off attitude. I'm not perfect. I'm human. And you'll see that reflected in my videos. But at my base, at my core, I am authentic, okay? And I'm really, I'm all about truth and justice. That means a lot to me. But again, all people on this third dimensional plane of Earth, we're just human beings. And we have to do the best we can within this density, okay? That's just that. I was listening earlier to a psychic that I love, Sloan Bella, and oh my God, I relate to her in so many damn ways. She was talking about her marriage, and she was married for 33 years, and two grown sons, and she talked about how she had split up with her husband after 33 years, just to kind of do her own thing. And she got into talking about alcoholism and what she had lived with over the years and how she didn't realize, and this can happen to people, how she didn't really realize the severity of his addiction until much later on. That happens. People are really good at hiding things, very good at manipulating situations. But anyway, she just cracks me up sometimes. And that's human. That's human. I don't really judge her for it. We're human beings. But she was saying, and she was just out front with it. She was like, yes, I have a fucking trauma response to anybody who's drunk. I just want to beat the shit out of them. She's like, I just want to box their head. She's like, I'm instantly triggered by a drunk or high person that's out of their damn mind. And I think, like myself, I relate to Sloan because I grew up around that. My father was an alcoholic. There were some very bad things that went on, all kinds of anxiety all the time. And naturally, with all that going on, I gravitated toward alcoholics and addicts growing up. It's always been around me. But, it's just like, but I've always had a soft spot for them too, of course. There's a lot of psychology tied into that. I've always had a soft spot for people like that. And I'm very aware of my tendency to trauma bond or have a weak spot for that because of my childhood. I've been working on those layers for years and being aware of that. But at the same time, I just have a natural soft spot for it. I do feel for them. I know there's a lot of suffering going on when a person is highly addicted. And I do feel for that. So, I understand it. And believe me, I've been around it enough, okay? Very painful. It can be very hard to deal with. But I totally get it because that's what I've been going through the past few years in my relationship. Severe alcoholism. And it really does something to you when you live with that every day. It's like I couldn't even believe looking back on it because eventually I had to do what Sloan did. It's a very hard thing to do when you deeply love someone. But yeah, I finally had to stand up and go, whoa. We cannot be in the same space. I could see what it was doing to my life, my mind. It was taking me to hell, and sometimes even if an addict doesn't want to do this, they will. They will. Sometimes it's completely beyond them. Okay, I'm not going to get all off into the ins and outs of that. But I will be having videos coming up about that too. Living with an alcoholic partner. Addiction. My own addiction. After all the years of my life of staying sober. Growing up with a family genetic of nothing but addiction. Every one of my siblings, my parent, my father, just eating my family up like a fucking curse. Picking them off one by one. I will get into that. and how I did not ever get addicted to substances. I raised my children, went to school, somehow held myself together after all the trauma. And then at 38 years old, went to the dentist, 3 abscessed teeth, and I ended up getting addicted to opiates for 3 years. And I'll be talking about my journey with that, what happened, how I ended up getting clean, the program I got into. I'll be talking about so many things coming up here on the channel, you guys. So I just wanted to blast some of this shit out because it was on my mind, and I didn't want to put it into any one particular video. Sometimes I just need to, and I'm not going to call it a rant, because I hate when people use that word. I hear a lot of dudes say that about girls who get angry, and I think it's very invalidating. It's invalidating as fuck. I don't think anyone should call anyone else's deeper feelings and expression a rant. I think that's so disrespectful and invalidating. And now people are saying it about themselves. Oh, there's my rant over. I hate it when people say that. It tells me how fucking insecure they are about what they just said. I see women doing it all the time now. Expressing some feelings, something intense, something valid, maybe something hurtful, maybe something they're angry about, they're passionate about, and then I'll see written at the bottom of it, rant over. Okay, I'm done with my rant. Fuck that. Say that shit. That when you put that at the bottom, when you finish your paragraph or your statement or your video, whatever, when you finish up with that, that knocks the respect off of what you just said. It kind of lowers you down into a place of, well, I feel bad about what I said, or I don't have a lot of confidence about what I said. I feel very guilty and ashamed of what I just said. I hope it didn't offend any of you, or I'm embarrassed, I feel like I don't really have the right to say these kind of things or express myself, but don't lower yourself into that vibration. You have every right to say what you want to say, to express anger, to express pain. Why is personal expression viewed as something so fucking abnormal in this world? I don't get it. What, everybody needs to toe this little line of some sort? I mean, I don't get it. I mean, yeah, there's a time and place for everything, of course. We need to have etiquette and manners and know when to use tact and, know when to keep things. Of course, there's a time and place for everything. But I don't like it when someone's very intense personal feelings are reduced and invalidated. That shit makes me sick, because you never know what the fuck anyone else is suffering through, or how much courage, how long it may have taken them to get to the point where they could even say that. You never know that shit. And it just, it makes me mad as fuck when people say that. I don't like it. I had a dude do that to me one time. I was talking about some things that were going on in my relationship, because they weren't behind closed doors with me. They didn't know what I was suffering through. They didn't know how hard my partner was suffering, or what I had to see, what I had to endure every day, and how much I was bleeding for this person, how much I was bending over backwards, and how much of my own life I was literally sacrificing to be there for that person. And no, this is not a victim mentality, poor pitiful me, feel sorry for me. No, it was a fucking choice I made. I was walking the path that I chose. But I was talking about some very serious things that were going on, and hoping that this person might shed some insight, or because they knew each other, my partner and this other person. And I was hoping that maybe he could shed some insight, or maybe talk to my partner as a friend. And people will just shut you down when you are expressing very painful things. People don't know how to take. The emotional intelligence on this earth sometimes is just crickets. Where is it? I'm sorry. I just don't find a shit ton of people that are really emotionally evolved enough or emotionally mature enough to know how to handle certain things. Yeah, we get squeamish with it. I've done it too before, but I'm aware of that, and no, of course we don't want to listen to someone drone on and on all day about their problems, their relationship, their pain, their this and that. Okay, right. There's a big damn difference of being stuck in victim mentality, and all you ever do is call people to put that on them, and being stuck in a certain vibration and simply expressing yourself. simply having a moment where you are expressing very deep and painful emotions that you may not have been able to get out before, and looking for a little feedback, okay? Hey man, it's always cool to give somebody a kind word if you can, a little bit of direction on it. No, you don't have to sit there and listen all day, but to shut them down with, listen, he didn't say this to me, but he messaged my partner later and he said, well, she's just ranting, and I thought, you stupid little shit. It's just, to me, that's ignorance. To me, it is really ignorance when other grown adults can't at least say something intelligent and the least bit empathetic. Not the least bit. They couldn't say, well, I can see that she was really having a rough day. She was experiencing something. She cares about you very deeply, and these things are really bothering her, so I didn't really have as much time to give to her that day. That's okay to guard your energy like that. But for people to lower it down into some ignorant, invalidating statement as, they're just ranting. Oh, they're ranting. I really want to get into that. Why is expressing personal feelings and emotions ranting? I mean, I can understand if you're screaming and yelling to the top of your lungs and there's foam flying out of your mouth and you're spitting and incoherent and not really making any sense at all. I could kind of understand if someone said, hey, that's a rant, and until you can calm down and communicate with me effectively and assertively and put it out there. You don't have to have a certain tone when you're angry. When you're angry, it's very normal for you to raise your voice sometimes. It's very normal for you to have a different tone than you have when you're happy, or when you are not feeling disrespected, when you're feeling safe, when you're feeling cared about, okay? You're gonna have a different fucking tone. Just because you raise your voice a little bit, that kind of matches what's going on in your brain. People are so used to not matching up. People are so used to being fake, being manipulative, having one look on their face and one tone, but yet underneath they hate your fucking guts. And they are jealous of you, or they don't like you because you're too assertive. Or, yes, people are so used to having all these damn disguises that they don't even know. They're so lost, they don't even know how to get in touch with their own damn emotions when they are feeling angry. They sit there and, they don't even know how to express healthy anger. So many people do not, and they think that it's negative. They think that it's negative if you are expressing healthy anger. The whole system is twisted to me. That's some twisted shit to me. I like to match up with what the hell. If it's going on inside of me, it's gonna match generally on my face, in my tone. I'm in tune with myself that way. I'm authentic, whatever the fuck ever. Now, I do know there's a place and time for everything, of course. So moving on, guys. Yeah, I really get a kick out of Sloan Bella. I think she's a fantastic psychic. She goes way back in the day. She used to work with police on missing children cases. I think she's a very deep and insightful person. She had a rough life, rough childhood. Similar to my own. She kind of grew up in the streets off and on. So she's got that tough, street smart edge, but she's also worked her way up into, raising her family over the years and being very connected and settled in. I do think she struggled over the years with a lot of issues, and similar things happen to me. I think she gets scapegoated a lot. People want to call her crazy a lot. Naturally, if you're really in tune with your spiritual and your psychic side, as oftentimes children who grow up in abuse will be, they will sometimes be a lot more empathic and empathetic and able to perceive things that perhaps the average person can't. A lot of times they'll be very in tune with certain things, simply through going through that type of abuse, being in that type of environment, having to learn to predict people's moods, and it's a whole juggling act. It's a whole other thing. I'll be having videos coming out about that type of thing in the future. But yeah, I get a kick out of her. She's a really cool person. But I can't say that there's just one person that I follow. Okay, I take in information from all kinds of sources. I process it myself. I do my own double checking, my own research, my own critical thinking. I also have a highly intuitive and spiritual side. I just use all of that. There's not any one thing I follow, and I don't necessarily listen to a creator and go, oh, because there's some things she talks about that I don't agree with. There's some perspectives that she has that I don't agree with, that I feel like, okay, I don't agree with that, but whatever. I don't just necessarily rule a person out because they said one thing I don't agree with. It does start to give you, now if they say certain things all the time, it does start to give you a vibe on maybe more of what's going on inside of them, maybe what kind of person they are, their character. But for the most part, I live and let live. I let people do and say whatever's authentic to them. I don't necessarily rule them out as a good person or a person that has something to offer of some substance and some intellect. It doesn't necessarily discredit everything else that they may be highly proficient in or an expert in or really informed and knowledgeable about. It doesn't necessarily discredit all of that if they say something I don't agree with. Sometimes people contradict themselves. Period. It just happens. Because especially the more knowledge you have, the more you study, the more you are growing in your spiritual evolution and ascension process, yes, it gets complex and you can feel very contradicted. Paradoxically, this but that all at the same time. That can happen. It really can. But yeah, I dig her. And I put out a couple videos actually talking about Britney Spears. I put one out yesterday about the shaving her head incident, and it was definitely not to gossip. See, that's what I want to get across. That's not where I'm ever coming from. I could care less. It's like a waste of my time. The video was more about psychological reasons why people make quick, drastic changes, okay? Especially women. They go after their hair. It's a thing. And anything I ever possibly say, I'm going to do my research on it. I'm going to have all the facts I can have on the topic to the best of my ability, or it'll be something that I personally have experienced and I know for damn sure. I'll let it be known when it's personal perspective or opinion or just something I think, and when it's facts, when it's something that's actually happened or occurred or I've experienced. But yeah, that's why I put things up about different celebrities. There are ones that I feel very connected to and relate to their life